It's a reminder of an old story that allows a very pointed question to be asked. And that story is set in the land of the rising sun many, many years ago, before the great city of Kyoto was a great city and was but a small town. And it's about that young man called Edo, who lived in a tiny village far away from Kyoto. But he lived with his widowed father, who had lost his wife and Edo's mother some years beforehand. But they were very happy together, the father and son. They had no woman to tell them when they needed to change their underwear or their socks, and they could go fishing whenever they wanted. So they led quite a happy life together, until one day Edo's life changed. His father came to him and said, "My son, I am now getting very old, and it's time for you to be married so that you can carry on our lineage." Well, Edo was just aghast. He said, but father, you know I don't like women. I'm afraid of them. Why do I have to get married? But the father insisted that tradition was tradition, and so he went to the town and found a matchmaker who found a suitable bride for Edo. Well, she wasn't the most comely of maidens, but she had a very kind heart, and she could cook and sew and clean. So the marriage took place, and Edo kind of tolerated his new wife. But she kind of endeared herself to him when she mended his breeches and she cooked his favorite breakfasts and dinners every day. So she kind of grew on Edo somewhat. And so life was somewhat contented with the three of them. But then tragedy struck. Edo's father died, and he was totally bereft. He wailed and mourned day after day after day, and his wife did not know what she could do with him to take him out of this great sadness and depression that had descended. She tried everything, cooking his favorite foods. She tried to placate him in every way she could, but to no avail. But then one day she had a thought, and she went to her husband Edo, and she said, "Edo, perhaps it would do you good if you went to the big town of Kyoto. It might have you take your mind off your loss." And he just absolutely, no, I don't. Why would I want to go to why would I want to go to Kyoto? But then, of course, you know the ways of men. It has to seem that it came from them. And a few weeks later, he said to his wife, "I think I'll go to Kyoto." So she packed a little dilly bag for him, and he made his way off to Kyoto. Well, it was quite amazing to be in this town with all the stall holders and the decorations that were in the streets and the vendors that were around, food stalls and so forth. So he was quite captured by this as he wandered around the town. But then all of a sudden he saw the sunlight glinting on something in one of the stalls. And so he went over to have a look, and the stall holder hurried over to him. He said, "Oh, yes, this has just arrived from Turkey. It's called a mirror." And so Edo held up the mirror in front of him, and he gasped. He said, "Dad! Dad! it's you! What are you doing? What are you doing here in Kyoto? Oh, I'm so very, very glad to see you. It's wonderful, wonderful to see you. Well, of course, Ada was willing to pay any price for the mirror, wasn't he? But the stallholder told him a price that was much less, and afterwards he was berating himself for not charging him a lot more. But he wrapped the mirror very carefully up in silk, and Ada couldn't wait to get home to talk to his dad again. But he did remember to buy a very nice kimono for his wife on the way. Well, when he got home, but somehow he omitted to tell his wife about his mirror. But she noticed, so every day after that, he would go into the room and she could hear him talking, happily laughing and giggling, and she wondered what on earth was going on. She couldn't understand it at all. So one day when Ada was off in the field looking after his corn, his wife crept into the room and unfolded what was wrapped in the silk and held it up, and she said, "No! Oh no! I suspected it, I knew it, he's got another woman in Kyoto. And look, she's not even pretty. Look at her, she's got this rough, look at those red eyes, look at that scowl on her. No, she's not even beautiful, I knew it." Well, of course, after that, the wife gave Ada the silent treatment, didn't he? She wouldn't respond to him in any way at all, and when he asked what was the matter, she just turned her head and tossed her head. Until finally said, "Well, what is with you?" And so she couldn't help herself. She went into the room. She brought out the silk, she unwrapped it. You see, I know, look, you've got this other woman in Kyoto. And Ada said, "But no, that's my dad, you see, that's my dad. No, this is my dad I've been talking to, all of this, no." Well, they got into the most terrible argument about it. It was so loud, the argument was so loud, all the neighbors could hear what was going on. So they all came over to see what the big kerfuffle was about, and of course there's Ada saying, but this is my dad, and she's saying, "But look, this is the other woman who's got in Kyoto, I know it. Well, then the neighbors finally said, "Well, look, there's obviously no solution to this argument, but why don't, we know that there's that very wise abbess that's in the monastery that's on the outside of our village. Why don't you go to her and ask her to solve this dilemma for you?" So they decided to do that, and of course all the neighbors went along with them to see what was going to happen. So they were all gathered around when Ada and his wife was there confronting the abbess, and Ada told his side of the story, this is my, and the wife told her side of the story, this is, and so the abbess said, "Well, let me see." So they hand her over the mirror. Oh, that poor woman. That poor woman. She's so ashamed of what she did trying to steal another man's wife that she shaved her head. Just leave her with me. I'll take care of her. Don't worry, she'll be well taken care of. Now you two go off home and make babies and everything will be fine. So in fact, Ada and his wife went off hand in hand down the road. But then Ada turned to his wife and said, "Wife, I'm very worried. I'm very worried about leaving my father there because he never was very religious." So, the very pointed question that can be asked from this story is, where is your mirror now? Are you still looking out at life, seeing it as a reflection? Maybe saying, "Oh yes, I see anger in that person, so I must have that anger in me, I better do something about it," or all of that stuff that goes on with reflections. You know, we're never happy with the size of our ears or the shape of our nose or whatever it is. Or we could ask the question, what is life for us now? Where is your mirror? What is life for you now as we look out at it, as we do? Our perceptions giving us an understanding of what life is. Do you still have a mirror? Where is your mirror now? Where is your mirror? How was it shattered? Did you dismantle it piece by piece by piece? Did it dissolve? Was it smashed by some event? We have our stories. If we can relate the story about that dissolution, that shattering, then we're in a place where we can claim something quite extraordinary. Life no longer being a reflection. Where is your mirror